Good evening and welcome to the House of Mastery programs. It is such a pleasure to see you on a Sunday evening. We are starting this series of Jipange Sunday. If you allow us to invite a few more people so that we can get started. I see you are all here. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's see some emojis. If you are here and you can hear me, type on the chat. Where are you joining us from? Where are you joining us from? Let's get to see where you are joining us from. Get to see where you're joining us from. Thank you so much. This is the House of Mastery Jipange Sunday. Are you ready? Are you ready for this session? I want to just say hi to a couple of people. Where are you joining us from? I can see MO. MO, where are you joining us from? Count of three, MO. All right. Then let's say hi to Mutheo. Good evening, Mutheo. How are you? Can you hear me? Wow. Hey, final attempt. Good evening, Karen. How are you? Where are you joining us from? Good evening, Paula. Can you hear me? Where are you joining us from?
Good evening, Madam Gladys. I can hear you loud and clear. I'm
Oh,
Paula, joining in from Nyeri
wow.
County. And you're all welcome
Thank
here.
you so much.
Thank you.
This is the House of Mastery, and we are ready to start Jipange Sunday. Today, I would like to straight away invite our coach. Dr. Job Mogire is our coach and founder at the House of Mastery. He is also a cardiologist. This evening, I want to let you know you're in the right place. He is passionate about helping people, coaching people to diagnose your patterns that hold you back, treat them at the root cause, and finally you become a finisher, which is where we were built to be and where we belong. Ladies and gentlemen, let's us appreciate as our coach, Dr. Job Mugire, comes on. Karibu, coach.
Thank you, Gladys. Good evening, Nairobi and Nyeri and wherever else people are joining in from. This is the first Jipange Sunday. Gladys, can you show me thumbs up if you can hear me? Paula? Oh, fantastic. Great. We will start this session with something very practical because this is what we will carry for the next 12 weeks. This is a 12-week opportunity to Jipanga. In Swahili, we say usipojipanga, utapangwa. So this week, the question is, utajipanga ama utapangwa? Katika msamiati wa Kiswahili, usipojipanga, utapangwa. Ngeli ya pangwa. I want to share with you what I think is the core idea that can transform the rest of the year for you. And I did not realize how much of this idea I have been practicing until I tell you the secret behind all these 3 pens. The secret behind a notebook always being on my table. So the core idea we are speaking about today as we initiate this program, Jipange Sunday, it's the question of whether you are working with your brain or against your brain. Everything you desire, everything you pursue, everything you do comes down to, are you in partnership with your brain or are you in combat with your brain? Because the mistake we make is to try to force the brain to do what we want when the brain always does what the brain wants. We want to approach life with a logical perspective, but we are using a biological tool. We have elevated thoughts, educated thoughts, enthusiastic thoughts. That is logic. Our output, our growth, our progress falters, it fails, it falls apart anytime it tries to fight against biology. Are you in partnership or are you in combat with your brain? And we'll just talk about three things. And some of these things might not apply to you, they might apply to your neighbor. And the first one is you start 20 things in the course of the week and finish none of them. I'm sure you know someone who has done that before. The question is, when that happens, what is the explanation? Because everything that I experience comes down to what my brain is looking for. If I don't know what my brain is looking for, I cannot partner with my brain. I cannot go into partnership in business with you if I don't know what you're looking for. I know what I want logically, but I will not succeed if I am combating biology. Biology was here long before I arrived, long before my education, long before your education, your experience. The reason why we start 20 different things and finish none of them is because the brain is seeking novelty. Your brain is seeking newness, novelty. And anytime you try to force the brain to attack the same goals with continuous boredom, you will fail. So one of the most important attributes we will pick from Jipange Sunday is the permission to rotate tasks. The permission to rotate tasks. Because what happens is we rotate from our goals to distraction. And the biggest shift is going to be rotating from one important activity to another important activity intentionally, because we know the brain is seeking novelty. If we don't wire novelty into what we are pursuing, the brain will defy. When the brain defies you, there's nothing you can do. That is number one. You start multiple things and you don't finish because your brain is seeking novelty. The solution, and I'm being brief about the solutions because at the end of the day, it is how do we make them practical that matters. We can spend the whole 30 minutes. If we don't apply it, it doesn't matter. So we'll move to the next one. The second ingredient that we have to consider is that for most of us, most of the difficult things you have ever completed, it's because they had a deadline attached to them. And most of the time, it's not your deadline. Somebody else was controlling the deadline. That's because the brain doesn't know the difference between a false deadline and a true deadline. Have you ever been working on a project which you think is due next week? You are almost finishing it, and then you are told, no, the deadline is, you still have 1 month. And then suddenly your productivity drops. Why is that the case? Because your brain wants to work with urgency. If something is not urgent, the brain will not attack it. The brain will not focus on it. And that's how 1 week comes and goes, another week comes and goes, another week comes and goes. January is gone, February is gone, March is gone. April is gone, May is gone, June is gone, July was just 2 days ago, and December is clearing its throat. That's because the brain does not attach anything, doesn't prioritize anything that doesn't have urgency. What is the solution? Create quote unquote false deadlines. In other words, you create a series of intermittent deadlines. You carve out a component of what you need to accomplish by the end of the year, and you Jipange Sunday by appointing what part of that work must be finished by when. In the course of the day, you have micro deadlines. I have a letter to write, I have an email to write, I have emails to respond to, I have clients to call, I have a piece of work I need to study, I have a deadline of 1 hour. I set a timer for 30 minutes, I concentrate for 30 minutes, I take 5 minutes break, I set another timer. These micro deadlines, they give the brain what the brain wants. The brain wants urgency. If you don't give your brain urgency, you have given your brain permission to be distracted. That's number 2. Number 3, and then from there, everything else will be application. Number 3 is the tendency to zone out. You are in the middle of an important conversation, but your brain starts calculating rent or loans, worrying about what is going on in politics. You are in the conversation. The person is explaining, yes, so when we arrived, they introduced us, and your brain is saying, okay, 5,000, if I add 7,000, is that 12 or 11,000, or that is 12,000? You are zoning out. And sometimes it doesn't matter what you are engaged in. When the brain does not feel urgency, when the brain does not perceive novelty, if the story started exciting and then it falls flat, your brain finds a way to escape. That is because at that time, the brain has tension that needs to be released. And that is where these pens come in. Almost everyone I have ever worked with in streamlining their productivity, one of the magical tools is something physical. Physical movement, some kind of physical tool in your hand that you use intentionally. Why do you think one of the most eaten things across Africa is the pen, the tip of the pen? Just go to any primary school. Actually go to classrooms where students are doing examinations, okay? And when they are walking out of examinations, just ask them for their pens and see what's happening with the pen. That is a subconscious brain's expression of its need for stimulation, for physical stimulation. If you look at some of the catchy movie scenes, you see a detective thinking and they're thinking and they're doing this. Why do you think they're doing this? Physical stimulation. If you've ever been in a hall where there's so many students studying and they're concentrating, you will see people vibrating their leg on the chair, or it's that physical movement is extremely important. And this is what helps you stay in the boring middle of a difficult assignment. For example, if it's a 90-minute exam, a 1-hour exam, you find yourself chewing. You find yourself adjusting the pen. The pen is okay, but you're adjusting it. You're checking. That's because that physical movement is wired. Just think, in 1850, our ancestors are somewhere in a village. They are surrounded by lions within a very short distance. If they don't stay alert, they will be eaten. Your brain, when you get engaged into a conversation and you don't have physical release, your brain thinks that you are about to be in danger of being eaten. Something physical. This is why writing down your thoughts when you are in a meeting. This is why in most conferences, the most common activity is doodling. People are in a conference that is discussing serious matters, but if you look at their notes, you will see doodles. They have drawn cartoons. They have never gone to the drawing class. They have drawn spiders. They have written their name, and then they have written over it. If you write your name until the name is bold, it went from one stroke until it becomes bold. Your name is written in calligraphy. That it is a matter of becoming aware of the brain's hunger for that. This is biologically wired. You cannot fight against it and win. What do? You utilize it. Give your brain a practical stimulation that doesn't take you out of what you are doing. And those are the only three that I want us to talk about today. I see Esther says, I chew my pen. It's a habit from high school. Yes, because the time when you are engaged, excited, and things are going well, you are unlikely to chew your pen. The times you chew your pen the most is when you are in boring classes, because your brain is looking for stimulation. So what are the three things that we must give our brain? Number one is novelty. Novelty. Number two is urgency. And number three is stimulation. If I don't give my brain stimulation that I choose, the environment will give it. This is not a choice you make. You don't choose whether or not your brain will get stimulation. It will. But the question is whether it gets it because you choose what stimulates it or you submit it to the environment. The overall thought, to wrap up this tiny segment so that we can now do some practical work, is novelty, urgency, stimulation. This is probably the core idea for you to carry out of this session. That your brain is wired to start things, not to finish things. Your brain is wired to start. That's why planning is very exciting. That's why looking forward, anticipating is very exciting. I remember when I was in my third year of university, and I remember the specific exam that I'm seated in that specific exam, but I was already planning how I was going to pack for a trip that was coming 2 weeks later. I'm in the middle of an exam, which if I don't pass, it might even impact my chances of getting to that trip. Your brain is wired for start. So how does that connect to Jipange Sunday? Jipange gives you the opportunity to start something each week that's important. In other words, to be specific about what is one thing I can actually focus on this week and finish it. And a week gives you a short enough turnaround time that you can get to the end of the week and you're still excited. The novelty hasn't fully died out. If you give your brain novelty, if you align with the reality that your brain is wired to start things, not to finish. Therefore, that big goal you want accomplished by the end of the year, if you can break it down week by week, show up for Jipange Sunday, this next 12 weeks, you can easily make more progress than you made in the first 7 months of the year. That's because we will come here not to fight biology, but to align with biology. Show up here to work the way the brain works, not to work against the brain. Give your brain urgency, give your brain novelty, give your brain stimulation that you choose. If you have to chew a pen, just make sure you're not chewing a pen that can break in your mouth and cut you. Choose the physical stimulation. This is why getting, for example, into the habit of walking intermittently. If you have access to a whiteboard, that is one of the most physically productive things you can do when you're thinking through a problem. You take a marker pen and you go to a whiteboard and you just start writing down your thoughts. Your brain, your thinking, your logical mind stays engaged, but your brain receives the physical stimulation it also needs. Create those tiny deadlines throughout the day. If you're going into a distraction, you're going onto social media, you create a tiny deadline. Urgency, novelty, and stimulation. Now it's time to narrow down to one thing that you will focus on and report here on Sunday next week.
Coach.
We will begin that exercise by...
Hi, Coach. Please explain novelty again.
Gladys, could you say what you said? My volume was quite low.
Could you explain novelty again? Stimulation and urgency, I get. Novelty, I don't.
Okay. Novelty. So let's consider the last thing that we spoke about. Your brain is wired to start things. I want you to remember the last time you were beginning. Is there something that you were very excited about at the beginning of the year, but right now we need to bring SGR to push you to get it going? That is the gap that the brain moves really when it comes to beginning something new. The brain is on it. The brain is excited. Even you talk about it, you read about it, you notice opportunities about it. But once the novelty wears out, it becomes a chore. And you pivot and you see another thing. And that's because my brain, your brain, is wired to start things, not to finish. The brain is wired to start things. Just think of 1843. The brain was wired to catch lions in the periphery. It's wired to catch danger rather than sticking long with what's at hand. And that is the biology we inherited. And now we have all distractions that you want. Every distraction that you want. This is the premium season for distractions, the premium age of distraction. Every TV program you want can be availed to you. Every social media opinion can be availed to you. Every voice, every video, every book, everything. And now AI makes everything is accessible to you. Which is why for most people, if you go to their AI conversation, there are at least 15 different business ideas that they could start. And each of them has been considered market research. It's a market research report. But none of them has been executed because it's easier to start things than to finish things. And that's why we are here for Jipange Sunday. Jipange Sunday is where we collaborate, we partner with our biology. We don't fight biology. Thank you, Gladys, for that question. I want to see if anyone else has any other question. This session is meant to run for just 45 minutes. It's not meant to be a lecture. And then we will keep shrinking it so that we focus on doing something practical. So with regards to urgency, novelty, and stimulation, does anybody have any question? Let's hear from Paula in the meantime, and then Mudeu, if we have someone else who is willing to volunteer. Hi, Paula.
Hi, Coach. Good morning, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think the analogy you've given on biting pens, it's the fact that it is so practical, it's so real, it's not something that is far-fetched. It's just something else. And I think the one thing that has actually marveled me from this session is where you say the brain is wired to start things, not finish. Wow. I think that for me is something that I've picked, and that is very new. Because I think I've always thought when the brain starts, it is automatic. It has to. All this while, all it needs is to start. That is something that is a take home for me. And I'm really grateful that I'm here. And I look forward to seeing how Jipange will panga me. Thank you.
I love your share, especially that last line. Let's see how Jipanga will panga us. Ngeli ya panga. Thank you, Paula. Let's hear from Mudeu. And Mudeu, it's good to see you.
Yeah, it's my most alert hour, so I'm happy to be here. Yeah, so I think what caught me, or rather whatever is true for me and whatever you said, everything is, but I think I'm sticking with most of the difficult things that I have completed is because I had a deadline. That is always true for me. And I remember when I was doing my master's project, I finished my research work within 3 months, and my friend was like, "Are you sure?" Like, yes, I finished. I've even submitted, and it's been accepted. And it's because the lecturer said, if you do not give me my project by 30th of this month, you're not graduating. And then I was not going to not graduate. And then after that, I think it's something you've said in Cora before. These people who do things like in bursts of energy, and then after that, you feel like you've gotten sick because you concentrated so much to finish. So that's my story, and I would really like to. I like that we're discussing it because I would like to know how to pace things out so that I don't work and I exhaust all my energy within a month, and then the next month I need to recover. So yeah, I'm really happy for all these sessions.
Thank you so much, Mudeu. Yes, it's that deadline. Deadlines change everything. Deadlines change everything. And it's amazing. I've seen a question from Sianoi. Where does ADHD come in? Is there an intersection? So Sianoi, this is my personal belief as a doctor, having worked in healthcare since 2003. Everyone has a little bit of ADHD. Everyone. The question is what flavor and to what extent? Most people who are classically classified as ADHD is because they crave stimulation. They crave stimulation, and we can see it, that somebody who quote unquote has ADHD, they are on the move. That will be the person who jumps, especially when they are young, we can see them jump from one sport to another. So that is what ends up being labeled as ADHD. But if you look at everything we've looked at, it's about attention. Attention hyperactivity, I don't like the disorder. It's just attention hyperactivity pattern. I would, if it was in my power, I would take away the word disorder. It's because we are forcing everyone to work against their brain. If we didn't have schools in the world, there wouldn't be so many disorders we call disorders, wouldn't be disorders. That's because it's very unnatural for a 3, 4, 5-year-old boy or girl to be sat for an hour, a double lesson in mathematics. It is unnatural. And during that time, that's when they end up chewing pens, and because naturally their brain is wired to override everything. So ADHD it's a spectrum. We each have a little bit of that. Our brain hungers for what it hungers. It's either we give it or the brain will find a way of getting it. The brain wants urgency, the brain wants novelty. Stimulation is what ends up being labeled as ADHD. And each of us, we have, it's always a combination of each of these. Do you know anyone who says that they work best under pressure? It's because their brain feels the best stimulated when they are in intense urgency. And people who say, "Oh, I work best under pressure," they will say, "No, I don't like it." No, they subconsciously enjoy it. That moment, immediately when they click submit after they have been under pressure for 6 hours, they're like, it feels so good. And that is the pay, unfortunately. That is the reward for that pressure. Except if the deadline is external, it means you will only be productive when there is an external deadline. You are subject. Yes, you know, best work under pressure. That means your brain craves urgency. So you can convert that pressure, you can spread that pressure by creating micro deadlines for yourself. Instead of having 2 deadlines in a year that you feel under pressure, you create micro deadlines throughout the day. And as you fall into that rhythm, you will actually realize that you work so much better. Each week, you will begin to see so much more progress in a week than some months that have already passed. That's because you're no longer fighting biology. You are working with your biology. If there's no pressure, if you hunger for urgency and there's no urgency, your brain is like, hey, what do I have to lose? There is, you know, there's so many opportunities. There is TV, there is social media. Your brain will find a way to watch. Your brain will find urgency in watching a YouTube short, catching the captions before they go. That is urgency. Watching a movie, reading the captions before they go, rewinding, and then watching again. That is subconscious urgency that is hidden. Trying to get through all the stories or the conversations about a certain subject within that day before you go home. That is urgency. It's your brain finding a way to meet its need for urgency. If we don't create an intentional structure, the brain will always beat us. So thankfully for you, this is the main conversation we are going to work on during Jipange Sunday from here going forward. So by week 4, week 5, you can teach a class on why the brain is wired to start things, not to finish things. You become a finisher by collaborating with your biology, not by fighting your biology. So thank you for that contribution. Paul, I've seen your contribution too. Thank you. Esther and everyone else who has contributed. Now, this week, the first step for you is to revisit your goals. Everyone who can hear my voice, go to the chat box. Just type down what are your top 3 goals this year. And it doesn't matter whether they are fallen by the wayside. The question is whether they're important for you. What are your top 3 goals this year? That's the first part. And what are your top 3 actions this week? What are the 3 things if you did this week that would move the needle the most for you? If they come easily to your mind, put them down. If not, just type "wa." Hopefully, you have some response to both parts. What are your top 3 goals? What are your top 3 actions for this coming week that would move the needle the most? In the meantime, I'm going to call Sianoi just to hear from you. This keeps rotating. Yes, Sianoi, go ahead.
Hi, okay. So you want me to answer the goal and the action?
No, let me just, let's hear from you. What are your overall reflections about this
Oh,
session,
okay.
what you've picked?
Yeah, I like the fact, one, it makes me feel normal, so I feel validated. That's tuko wengi who struggle with this. But for me, I'm very big on just learning. Yeah, I'm a lifelong learner, and that reflects in what I do. I'm in the personal development space as a certified executive coach, and doing that, partnering with my clients as well. So yeah, this is interesting. I mean, I always thought there's something wrong with me because I work really well under pressure. um, but I think what sometimes I've seen the cost there is, you sort of wish, is there another way of doing this? Yeah, the adrenaline, and then what? You're like, huh? Okay, we can go to Diani after this. So this is helpful. This is helpful increasingly. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. What would, let's say you are able to consistently meet your need for novelty, urgency, and stimulation on an ongoing basis. This is thinking theoretically right now, but going forward, you put some of this into practice. What do you perceive might change in terms of how you approach each week?
I think the obvious one is better planning. Yeah, the obvious one is better planning. And as I don't know, yeah, like better planning. You can actually plan for this thing, and pace yourself and work towards it while conserving your energy. So yeah, I think it's a tool. And then the other thing is also, I'm in a group of I don't want to say older women because that sounds biased, but one of the there's a support group. It was started by a lady in Nairobi, though I've relocated recently out of Nairobi. But one of the things we discovered is it's women in perimenopause, menopause and post-menopause.
Yeah.
And one of the conversation we had is also ADHD in this, like there's an increased either attention deficiency in this phase of our lives, which probably wasn't there earlier. So I think that's also for me, I've just been trying to find answers for this. So I think I'm
Yeah.
in a good space.
Yeah, yeah. It's so that's you're touching on a subject that I have been working on for quite a while, and it relates to both what if there's the season in a woman's life you've spoken about, but there's on the other side, there's what we call the midlife crisis for men. It's a similar transition when the body physically feels like it's time to slow down, but your hunger for stimulation never went away. And so and then now that is the time when even some of your responsibilities change. Sometimes the children who are hanging around your skirt, they are now standing on their own, and suddenly that physical stimulation, that urgency, the deadline, that all changes, and this introduces a really interesting perspective. And I'm glad that you are here. I hope you continue to show up because I think you have something amazing to contribute to the group. 3 actions, Sianoi, 3 actions for you this week. 3 actions that can move the needle in terms of what you're working on this week.
Do you want me to answer that or put that on the chat?
Which do you prefer?
Yeah, I like the spotlight.
Okay, go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
So actions for this week, I need to publish a coaching workbook that's sitting. It's been sat in my laptop for maybe 2 years. Then I need to aggressively follow up registration of a nonprofit organization, which I started, and I've moved counties specifically to focus on that. So that is
Fantastic.
top priority for this week. And then I need to finish a rapporteuring conference report I did last week as part of my communications consulting work.
Yeah.
That also all that needs to happen by Friday. Thank you. No more spotlight.
2 years. 2 years, 2 years. It's not, we are still going on with you. 2 years. What do you think has been the main barrier?
For the NGO?
No, for the first item, the
Oh yeah,
the book.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm a coach, and I actually tell my clients, when I hear women talk about being a perfectionist and how perfectionism shows up, I'm actually a
Yes.
victim of that because I'm a writer, my degrees in communications. So I just tend to be more critical of my own writing, right? So that's the main reason. That's the main reason. It's just like it's not good enough, or it's but now it needs to get out. It needs to get out. It can benefit people. It can generate income. So yeah. Actually, just before this, very interesting. Just before this, the alert for this, I was busy working on it in a burst of energy and feeling this thing needs to get out this week. Yeah.
What needs to be completed for it to be set to go
It's
out this
actually
week?
complete. It's actually complete. I just need I even have a design, a cover design. Um I don't know, maybe one more read through and then um identify which platform to put it on. Yeah, which actually I have. There's somebody who's put together something for coaches in Africa, and we're allowed to put our work there. So I just need to upload it.
Let's just say there was no deadline. It's
No,
work
there's no
within.
deadline. There's no
That's it.
deadline.
Yeah, no deadline. So the
No
things that don't have
deadline.
deadline, yeah, things that don't have deadline, it's like
Yeah, it's been in
they
my
keep going.
laptop for 2 years.
Okay, Sianoi, I have a gift for you. Okay,
Yay, I
you
like
are
it.
you are not the market for your products. Get out of the market. You have no say in the product, the quality of the product beyond what you've done. The market will tell you if you need to improve it.
Makes sense.
That's one of the hardest things I had to learn. This is one of my books. I look at this book every time I open it, I see lines which I want to rewrite differently. But I wrote this book in the course of 2 weeks. I took time off, wrote this book in the course of 2 weeks. I had a deadline with the publisher, and he called me the day before, and I requested for just 1 day extension. And then I sent that book. And then I see it, and people who read it tell me, I really enjoy this book because I'm not in the market for this book. It will never be perfect for me. Every single time I look at it, I see defects in this book. So this week, Jipange Sunday is the beginning of release what you have into the market. You are not in the market. You are a market for somebody else. You're a supplier in this market. You will not have perfect products. Just bring what you have, put it in the market. Apple is now in its version 17, which means Apple gave us version 1, version 2, version 3, version 15, version 16. So ladies and gentlemen, today we are sending Sianoi out to publish. When is your deadline? Which day are you
So I have
publishing
been
this?
deadlines.
We want to hear a deadline today.
Priorities. The conference report for last week. And that's going in by Wednesday.
No. The booklet is finished, right? Is the booklet finished?
I'm negotiating here. Thursday, because tomorrow I'm doing the
Thursday, what
conference
time?
report.
Okay, Thursday, what time?
4 p.m.
Thursday, 4
Kenyan
p.m.
time.
Okay, please write down that date because I'm going to write it down. Thursday, 6th, 4
Yes.
p.m. East
Yeah.
African time.
Yeah.
So at 4:01, there will be no booklet pending still.
Inshallah.
That's it. So you will have taken your tendency to work under pressure and made it practical. That's one thing that will be done that simply. 2 years comes to an end so that we can focus on something else. Thank you for the gift of having you in the spotlight, Sianoi. And we see
You're
you
welcome.
on Sunday next week with a report that this is done. We will wrap up by looking at some of what everyone has shared. I won't be able to go through everyone's. Helen, yearly goals executing all the clothes I have started before. Yes, that's many of us. Putting my work into action, working on behavior delays. My goodness, the brain will give you every reason to delay unless you're meeting its need for novelty, urgency, and stimulation. It will negotiate. We've just seen Sianoi, I'm going to use your example. You've seen Sianoi negotiate live. We will be here next week, Sianoi, to hear a good report. Let me read one more, then we will be done. This is from Esther: to be more prudent in how I spend my money by saving more, secure a new work opportunity, grow in the walk of faith. There will be a lot for us to work through together with everyone else. I want to be able to read all your contributions. The sessions will be 45 minutes at most every Sunday for the next 12 weeks. I promise you, you won't find a better way to start your week. And today was just introduction. Next week we go deeper. I wish you a good week ahead. And that's it. My name is Mogire from the House of Mastery. Thank you for being here at Jipange Sunday. I will see you next week at the same time. Then from next week, you begin to point out what you will accomplish and really get to it. That's it. Gladys, play a bit of that music and then we'll be out of here. Goodbye, everyone.
I'm an overcomer, yeah, Namwari. Shua this year, Chichari Kajete.